Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back for episode 31 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock. Last episode we set up the basics of our Applied Energistics 2 system. We have 3 of these ME drives. I made one more between episodes and filled it with more of these 1K ME storage cells, and we now have all of our stuff stored within those cells and accessible through the ME crafting terminal. Pretty cool stuff. Now what I've done since the end of last episode is put all of the ingots back into these compacting drawers and gotten rid of all the other storage drawers that were around them. Now, the reason I've done that is because we have a heck of a lot of ingots. Iron especially. We have 2,821 iron, and all of these ingots were taking up a ridiculous amount of space in these 1K ME storage drives. And as I mentioned last episode, these drives are made for lots of items with very few amounts, whereas the ingots are very few items in large quantities. Like, iron is just one item, but we have a lot of that one item, if that makes sense. And so what I've decided to do instead is leave all of the ingots in these compacting drawers for now. Later on down the line, we might look at making some of the 16K or 64K ME storage cells and storing them in there. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a storage bus and simply attach all of the storage drawers to the ME system. So to do that, we need to get ourselves an ME storage bus. This guy over here, real easy to make. It is 2 pistons, 1 sticky and 1 normal. I think we should have a piston and a slime ball in the AE system. I did go ahead and make a couple more of these slime balls between episodes because we are going to need quite a lot of sticky pistons for making quite a few things in Applied Energistics here. And then we also need one of these ME interfaces. This is made with 4 iron ingots, 2 glass, and then 1 of the formation cores and annihilation cores that we made last episode. We should have one of those spare. We don't. We are missing the annihilation core, I think it is, because we used this to make our import bus at the end of last episode. Thankfully, we can make more of those super easily. And I'm also going to go ahead and actually make a second set of the formation cores because I would like to set up 2 of these ME storage buses. And you'll see why in just a second. So let's go ahead and make 2 of those. One of them is going to be used to make the ME storage bus, like so. And then the second one is going to be used to hook up our Applied Energistics system to our logistics pipe system, which we'll get to in just a second. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get rid of these logistics pipes right here. And then let's put down the storage bus right there, hook it up with some of the ME glass fiber cable. And now we should be able to access all of our iron ingots, which we can. You can see all of the nuggets, all of the iron ingots, and all of the iron blocks are there, available in our AE system from these storage drawers, and there's no delay between like actually pulling them out. As soon as I grab them, they just pull them directly from this over here. And so now that we've got that, I want to talk a little bit about our logistics pipe system, because right now we can go into the logistics request table like we've always done, but the only things in here are cobblestone, and then apart from that, mostly just actually I guess things in those chests over there, but mostly it's just the craftable items that we can no longer craft, because if we were to request any of them, they cannot access the items. And so what I'm going to do as kind of a temporary short-term fix is stick down an ME interface right about here so it's connected to the AE system. And if you happen to put a provider pipe onto an ME interface, what that's going to allow our logistics pipe system to do is access everything that is in our ME system. So if we go through here, you can see that everything is now still available within the logistics pipe system. Now, I'm not going to use the request table for general crafting or getting items or anything like that. Most of my crafting will be done within the crafting terminal from Applied Energistics, but if I wanted to request any of the auto crafts that we currently have set up down here, for the time being, I'm going to do that within the request logistics table. Later on down the line, probably very soon later on down the line, I will replace all of these setups over here with Applied Energistics auto crafting. We'll get it so that our AE system can auto craft and auto use all of these machines on its own without logistics pipes. But for now, this is kind of the best sort of middle ground for a temporary fix so that we can still use all of our auto crafting and also have all of our items stored within the Applied Energistics system. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed because in all the versions of Applied Energistics, I think in like 1.6.4 and 1.5.2, it used to be that you could hook up the logistics pipe system to the AE system and vice versa, because right now our logistics pipe system can access everything in our Applied Energistics system, but not the other way around. For example, if we look inside of here, when we type in gear, we cannot see all of the crafting recipes that the logistics pipe system is capable of making, whereas in older versions of logistics pipes and and applied energistics, you used to be able to do that. It used to be that you could hook it up like we've done there, stick a request pipe onto the ME interface, and then what that would allow you to do is come into your ME interface and search, for instance, gear and see all of the available crafting recipes that the logistics pipe system knows how to craft. Unfortunately, it's not something that you can do in 1.7.10. Maybe it'll come in the future patch, maybe not, I'm not quite sure. Applied energistics has kind of took a bit of a break from development for quite a while now, but there's nothing we can do about that. So the next thing that I want to work on is I want to work on automating the process of getting all of the stuff in these chests over here out of these chests and into our AE2 system, because up until now, the way that I've been handling this is every so often I'll come over to these chests over here, like the ingots chest, and then all these sifting chests, and I have to come over, see if they're full, and if they are full, or if they're getting close to being full, I'll just take everything out, run it over to what used to be the storage drawers, and then just dump it into the system like that. And that is not the best way of doing it, because of course it means that I have to always manually keep checking up on all of this stuff to make sure that the system doesn't get backed up, which it frequently does, and it just all becomes a bit of a pain. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use that import bus that we made last episode to pull all of the stuff out of those chests and into the AE system automatically. Now, we do run into a little bit of an issue there, and that issue is that we have one import bus and 4 chests. Now, what we could do is we could make 4 import buses, put an import bus on every single chest, hook that back up to the system, and it wouldn't work. And the reason why it wouldn't work is because right now, as I mentioned last episode, our AE2 system is a very, very simple system, and because we don't have a controller, we currently have an energy acceptor, we can have no more than 8 items from applied energistics linked together at any one time. Once you try and add more than 8 devices, you need a controller to start to sort through those channels. So right now we have 3 drive cages, 1 crafting terminal, that's 4, we have 1 interface, that's 5, we have the storage bus, that's 6, and if we were to put down an import bus on all of those, that would go 6, 7, 8, 9, which is 1 more than we can actually have on our AE system without making a controller. We will, of course, be making a controller later on down the line, but for now, what I'm going to do instead is quite simply pipe all of the items into one central chest, and not a WWW chest, just a central chest, and then pull in from that chest. So, if we go ahead, do we have any item ducts? We've got 3 there. I think we should be able to make a few more of these. Let's go ahead and grab, 9 might be enough. Let's have a look. So if we put the chest down right about there, I think should be fine for now. It's going to be a bit of a mess, but if we do something like this, I of course do not want that to connect up there, so let's unlink that, just right click, and then if we do something like this, and this, and this, what we can do is we can have all of the items from these 3 chests, and this chest pipe through into this one golden chest, and then simply put the import bus on that chest, and then pipe that through and around to our AE system using these pipes, which might be a little trickier than it looks because of this piping, but I think what I'll do is probably just reroute that around a little bit. Like if we get rid of this real quick, what I can probably do here is have this come down like so, taking the place of where that pipe used to be, and then of course going across and round, and I'll figure that out in a second. But then the other pipe can, I guess, go around, like if it comes down 1 more here. Let me turn hover mode on real quick. If it comes down 1 more like that, we could then have that come, yeah, we can have that come around and hook that up nice, so that's fine. So let's grab some servos. Let's also see if we have any more pipe from extra utilities. We do. Let's see about quickly rerouting this real quick so it doesn't just like mess up the entire system. What I'm thinking is, again, back into hover mode, I'm thinking if we have this come around like that, maybe that should be fine. At that point, we can get rid of that pipe there. I think that should work in exactly the same way that everything has been working up until now. And then all we have to do after that is turn off hover mode real quick and just put servos onto all of these item ducts so that all of the items from this side will just pass through into this chest, then this chest, and then of course into this chest, and everything from here will do the same from there back into there. Of course, don't forget to go ahead and right click on here and set redstone to disabled, otherwise it won't do anything without a redstone signal. So let's just go ahead and set that to ignored for all of those, and now everything should start to move its way through. And once we hook this up like so, we should now see that the import bus over here should be online. If we go over, you see a little blue light. Yep, we can see it right there. And if you're looking well up at the top there, it says device online. And now all of the items that are in here, you'll see the diamonds are being slowly pulled out and imported into the AE system over here. If we type in diamond, we might not be able to see it because the diamonds are probably finished. But trust me, all of the items are now being pumped through and then being pulled back into the applied energistics 2 system at a nice fast rate. Now, this is not the best setup in the world because we're just using these basic servos all of the items are going to get pulled out fairly slowly. What we should probably look to doing in the future is maybe upgrading those servos to maybe some hardened servos, maybe a redstone servo, or maybe even a resonant servo if these chests get really full. But it looks like for now, the pipes are managing to pull out all of the items faster than the sifting system or the pulverizing system are able to make the items or ingots. So for now, this should work just fine. And all of our items should end up in the AE system without us having to actually do all that stuff manually. Pretty cool stuff. So now that all that's done, that is going to be the tech for today. What I want to focus on for the remainder of today's episode is a little bit more on the magic side of things. Because last episode, if you remember, we looked at the Angel Ring, an item that is made in the Extreme Crafting table that gives you the ability to have creative flying, the flying that you would have in creative mode. And this thing looks pretty scary on the outset, but I spent a little bit of time between episodes looking through all of these recipes, and I think for the most part we can make all of these. For example, at the top here, the spikes are just a lot of diamonds and some gold in the QED. The glider wings are just dark steel, which is just some obsidian and some steel or refined iron. All of the tech stuff down here is mostly just more grindy industrial craft stuff, like the jetpack. You need the advanced lap pack, which is just more advanced circuits. It's all stuff that we've made before, and although it would be fairly grindy to make all of that stuff again, it's all stuff that we can actually make and all stuff that we have actually made in the past, like the advanced alloys, the carbon plates, the iridium reinforced plates, all that stuff we've made before and we can make again. The only items that we can't make right now within this crafting recipe are the ones from the magic mods. For example, if we look at the cracked runic plates, those require imbued slates, which require a tier 3 altar. Right now we only have a tier 2 altar. And then if we look at the central item, probably the hardest item on the list there, the thermostatic harness, to make this we need an air sigil, which requires a demonic slate, which requires a tier 4 altar. And so what I want to look at for the remainder of today's episode is upgrading our altar and trying to get it to a tier 4 altar. So if we grab our division sigil, right now we can right click on it and it will just happily tell us that it is a tier 2 altar. Now if you want to upgrade this to a tier 3 altar, it's actually fairly easy. All we have to do is move everything up by 1 and add kind of another outer ring of blood runes around the outside with some more blocks and some glowstone. So if we come back over here, between episodes I did go ahead and take the time to make some more of the blank slates required to make all of the new runes. We do in fact need 20 more of those blood runes, and that means each one requires 2. We've already got 40 of those, so we've got enough to make the 20 new blood runes that we need to get to tier 3, and we're also going to need quite a few shards as well as a lot of these wave stones and also a lot of normal stones. So I don't think we have that many wave stones right now. In fact, we don't have any. So let me quickly grab some flint and just throw as much of this stuff as we can into here. Is this the right? No, that's the wrong one. That one has the alchemy catalyst below it. We want to instead throw it into this one over here, although I don't think we actually have any mana. We've got a very small amount of mana in this pool. That got us 8, which is actually nowhere near the amount that we need. So let me quickly grab a little bit of coal and see about getting a few more of these wave stones. Okay, so now that we've got more than 20 of those, we can head on back upstairs. We should have enough stone in our system. I was smelting some stuff up, and it should have made its way out of this chest and around. It hasn't quite made its way yet out of that chest, but I've made some more of that, so we stick that into the system with the slates and the wave stones. I also went ahead and made a couple more of the air shards using some of the sandstone slabs that we had in the system. We should now be able to take all of those and craft those up with our blood orb, which is currently sitting over here. I think we might actually have a weak blood orb in the system that we could have used that to craft instead, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and we'll throw it in the apprentice's orb, and that's going to get us the 20 new blood runes that we need to upgrade our altar from tier 2 to tier 3. So basically, these are going to go 1 block down and 1 block out from these runes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them right about there. So you're going to put 5 there. We're going to go 1 down, 1 out. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally, you guessed it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then all we have to do now is move all of the existing blood runes and the altar up by 1 level, and then add some glowstone to the setup, and that is going to increase the blood altar's tier to tier 2. So let me quickly grab some blocks that I can use just as kind of a foundation to make this happen. So let's do something like this. I think we want to have the blood altar right about there. We want to have the tier 2 runes around the outside, just in the exact same way that we had before, like so. And now I kind of want to get rid of these. I don't really like them sitting there underneath like that. So, ooh, the server's lagging a little bit. That's fine. Get rid of that stuff. Let's instead do something like that. And now we have the basis of a tier 3 altar. You'll see right now it's still a tier 2 altar. And that is because what we need to do now is add some pillars around the outside, topped with glowstone. Now, you can make these pillars out of anything that you like. I usually go with glass to start with, and then maybe a different block later on down the line once I've decided on like a theme that I'm going to go with to make it look pretty cool. But for now, let's go ahead and make 4 blocks worth of glowstone. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here, and you want to make sure that the glowstone blocks are 1 block higher than the blood altar. So for example, we want to have this go like this, 1, 2, and then the glowstone blocks are going to go right about there, 1 block higher than the blood altar. We'll do the same thing over here. We'll make sure the glowstone is 1 block higher over here, 1, 2, 3. So now if we right click, it's still tier 2, and that is because I have done this entirely wrong. And the reason I've done it wrong is because you do not want the glowstone and the pillars to be there. They actually go on the outside in that new little indent that we've created. This place right about here. So you want it to go 1, 2, 3, and then a block of glowstone on top like that. And if we do the same all around again, now we have a tier 3 blood altar. You'll see in the bottom left, it says altar's current tier is tier 3. So you want to make sure the glass, or it doesn't have to be glass, you can use any block for these pillars here. But you want to make sure the glowstone is on the outer side of the new blood runes for the tier 3 altar. And you want to make sure that they're 1 block above the blood altar. And it should look something like this. So this is the tier 3 altar, and we can use this to make some of the slates required to make the angel ring. So again, if we look back at, for example, the cracked runic plates, if we want to make ourselves the imbued slates, we can do that in a tier 3 altar. I should also mention that you can make all of the previous tiers of runes in higher tier altar. So for example, even though we don't have a tier 2 blood altar, we can still make the reinforced slates in the new tier 3 altar, and then of course we can make the normal blank slates in any kind of altar as well. So now that we have our tier 3 altar, the next challenge is of course to set up a tier 4 altar, and it's made in a very similar way. We need even more runes. We need 28 more of these normal blood runes. They're going to go again 1 block out and 1 block down. So we're going to have 7 on this side, 7 on that side, 7 on every side, and 7 times 4 is 28. We're then going to have more of these pillars. Again, I'm probably going to make them out of glass, although you can make them out of anything you like. But this time around, they're going to be topped with what is known as a large bloodstone brick. And this is made using 4 ritual stones and 1 weak blood shard. And the weak blood shard is kind of where things get a little bit tricky, because if we look at the recipe for the weak blood shard, you'll see that there isn't one. The only recipe requires that you have a blood shard. This recipe here is saying that if you have an imbued slate and a weak blood shard, you can craft them together to make 5 weak blood shards. But you'll notice that if we click on the weak blood shard, there is no actual recipe for it. And the reason for that is because the way that you get the weak blood shard is by killing mobs with the bound blade, which is a sword from blood magic. So if we look up the recipe for the bound blade, this is made using the binding ritual and then the sword of the Zephyr. This is usually made using a diamond sword, but in expert mode, of course, they have combined all of the magic trees together. So Britannia, Witchery, Thorncraft, and Blood Magic are all tied together. And so in order to make the bound blade, we need the sword of Zephyr from Thorncraft. And to make this, it is an arcane infusion recipe with 2 air shards, 1 thaumium sword, 1 diamond, and then 1 greatwood log. Now, we could do this fairly easily. We know how to get air shards. We've got diamonds. We've made greatwood logs before, and we can get all 3 of these aspects into the water jars downstairs fairly easily. However, I started thinking about how much we use greatwood, and we need an awful lot of greatwood logs for all of the stuff that we craft within the magic tree. And so I figured that it would actually be easier if we just got ourselves a greatwood sapling so that we could grow our own greatwood trees and then just chop them down to get greatwood logs instead of using the crucible every time with some Bracantio, some arbor, and some oak wood. So I jumped back into the Thaumonomicon, which is currently, I think, sitting in my applied energistics system. Yeah, it's right about there. So I jumped back into the Thaumonomicon, and there was a section down here called X Asterisk Thorncraft. It's a Thorncraft add-on for X Asterisk, which is the mod that adds like the auto saves and some other stuff that makes Skyblock work. It's also the mod that adds in the original recipe for making Greatwood in the Crucible, but it also adds a recipe for making Greatwood saplings. Now, this is a pretty scary looking arcane infusion recipe. It requires 6 buckets of witch water, 1 jungle sapling, 1 shimmer leaf, and 1 cinder pearl, as well as 64 Order, Ignis, Aqua, Air, Predito, and Terra, and then 128 arbor. That is 2 full water jars worth of arbor, and you'll see that the instability is dangerous. But I figured we'd give it a go and see if we can get it, because if we can, it's going to make our lives a lot easier going forward, because we don't have to use the Crucible and try and find all the aspects and the items that contain those aspects every single time we want to make some Greatwood. We can just chop down a Greatwood tree and get it that way. It would make life so much easier. So I'm going to try and make this. Now, for the Shimmer Leaf, for most of these items, the Witch Water and the Jungle Sapling, they are all super easy to get. We already know how to get Witch Water. Jungle Saplings, you can get in a few different ways. You can either, I believe, throw Birch Saplings into a mana pool, but what you can also do is you can just grab the exotic seeds that you get from sifting sand in Ex Nihilo, and if you just plant these down every single time, you get a jungle sapling. I'm not quite sure why these seeds exist. I don't know why Ex Nihilo just doesn't give you a jungle sapling when you sift sand, because literally every single time that you sift these, you get a jungle, you place them, you get a jungle sapling. So I'm not quite sure what the point is there. Maybe they're used for something else, for getting other items in some other way that I'm not aware of, but that's how we get jungle saplings. As for the Cinder Pearl and the Shimmer Leaf, these looked a little bit ridiculous to get originally. If we look at like the Shimmer Leaf, there is a recipe to get them using AgriCraft crop breeding, which we could have done. You can see that there are Shimmer Leaf seeds, which we can get by combining white tulips or breeding white tulips with Cinder Pearl seeds, and then of course Cinder Pearl seeds are red tulips and cactus seeds. But what you can also do is just unlock the research over here, Cinder Pearl from the sky and Shimmer Leaf from the sky, and now we can make Cinder Pearls by throwing dandelions into a crucible with Herba, Ignis, and Precantio. And then for the Shimmer Leaf, you can do the exact same thing, but with the Poppy, and with the Poppy, you can just do Herba, Permutatio, and Precantio. To get the Poppy and the Dandelion, we should be able to just come over to the grass over here and just plant down some grass. I don't know if you've actually yet managed to get any kind of, there we go, Poppy, beautiful. So we'll take both those. As for the aspects that we need, let's have a quick look into the Thaumonomicon here. So they both require Herba, which is got via, what can we use for this? We can use grass. I think we'll probably go with, is that an oak sapling or is that a different kind of sapling? Yeah, it's an oak sapling. So we'll probably go with an oak sapling for the Herba. The Precantio we can obviously get from shards. Let's have a look. We've got a lot of air shards. Each one of those contains one. What do we need to make that happen? We need 4, so 8 should be fine. As for Permutatio, what do we need for that? Let's have a look. We need copper ingots. Copper ingots we have in abundance, so let's go ahead and grab some of those. That should be pretty much everything that we need there, I think, to get that up and running. Let's grab a bucket. Oh, also we need Ignis, I believe, for the Cinder Pearl. Is that right? Let me check real quick. It is. We need Ignis instead of the Permutatio there to get the Cinder Pearl. So again, let's come back in here, and we'll just use the coal that we already have in our inventory for that one. Each coal contains 2 Ignis. That should be just fine. So I'm going to grab a bucket of water from here, because it's a little bit tricky to grab it from the water source over here now, because we have that fluid transfer node making the clay. But let's throw the water in there. Once it starts to bubble, we will start with the Shimmer Leaf. So this one needs 4 Precantio. So we'll throw in 4 of the shards. It needs 4 Herba, so we'll throw in 2 saplings. And then Permutatio, each one of those contains 1. So we'll throw in 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Let me quickly go and switch out to my goggles of revealing, just to make sure that we have all of the right items in there, and also because I'm going to need them for quite a lot of stuff in today's episode. I'm going to keep my jetpack on because I like being able to fly. And there we go. That gets us a Shimmer Leaf. And now I'm going to actually empty this out real quick, because there is a lot of stuff in there. So let me quickly grab my wand just to empty that out. Otherwise, I see an explosion coming pretty soon. Also, I don't know if I mentioned, I made this tool rack a little while ago just to store all of the Thaumcraft wands on. You can either right-click to just put items into place and then grab them out, or you can shift right-click to actually access the internal inventory like so. It's a pretty cool little item for storing multiple things. I didn't want to have too many of these drying racks just going on and on forever. But now we got this. Let's go ahead and just quickly empty that out. That is going to produce a fair amount of flux, but that is fine. Let's see if I can do this. I totally can. Let's put that in there, and then let's do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 4. They should go in. Yeah, there we go. 1, 2, and then we need the coal. I think 2 of that should be fine. It is. And now if we throw in the dandelion, we got the Cinder Pearl. Nice. I thought nothing could happen there, but we got the Cinder Pearl. Let's go ahead and just empty that out like so. I'll deal with all of that flux a little bit later on down the line, but now that we've got that, all we need to do is make ourselves 6 buckets so that we can get all of the witch water. Before the episode started, I put a bunch of iron plates into there, so if we come over to the crafting station, making 6 buckets is going to be fairly easy stuff. And then all we have to do now is actually grab 6 buckets worth of witch water, and to do that, all we need to do is just continually pull the witch water out of here and then fill it back up with normal water, which I'll do in a second off camera. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to get all the buckets of witch water. I'm also going to fill in all of the water jars down here. I did make a few more water jars before this episode, and I did put stuff in those water jars because I thought I was going to have to do a different infusion crafting recipe for something else that we're going to make later on down the line, but it turns out we actually don't need any of this stuff, and so I can just actually get rid of most of this. And basically, I'm going to go away. I'm going to try and fill all of these jars here with all of the requisite aspects that we need. So I'm going to have 2 jars full of arbor. I'm going to have 1 jar full of all this stuff. I might even go as far as to make a few extra jars because, of of course, the instability is dangerous, which means we want to make sure we have at least one extra of everything. So I'll go ahead and make another shimmer leaf. I'll make another cinder pearl. I'll make sure we have like 7 or 8 buckets of witch water, and I'll also make sure that we have a few extra jars that have some extra of all these aspects, just in case anything goes wrong. So I'm gonna go away, guys. I'm gonna do all that, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so a surprisingly long time later, and we now have all of the aspects within these jars that we need. We have 64 Ignis, 64 Air, Predito, Terra, Aqua, Order, and then 128 Arbor, as well as a bunch of little dregs of all of those in these jars over here, just in case something goes wrong and we end up using a little bit more than is scheduled. It can go ahead and start to pull from some of these jars over here. We also have all of the items already on the pedestals, as well as backups for everything on here. I have a spare cinder pearl, a spare shimmering leaf, 3 spare buckets worth of witch water, as well as a spare jungle sapling. I'm not quite sure if the one on the middle block there can actually fall off, but there we go. I also added a few more of the air shard crystals to the top there to make it just a little bit more stable. And between episodes, a few episodes back, after we originally set this up, I actually went around and added a few more skulls, as well as a few more of these candles. You'll see we have 4 around the outside now, so really, I'm hoping nothing goes wrong, but there are an awful lot of aspects to the top there that we are still waiting for this altar to pull in, so something could quite possibly go wrong here. Bucket got knocked off, that's fine, we'll put another one down. Oh, okay, we got another bucket off, that's fine. We can, oh, do we need a block to replace that? Oh, gosh. Okay, that's fine, put that back. Oh, gosh, I don't like the fact that the heads have come off. That's not good. I feel like that could lead to more instability. Okay, so it's now done pulling in all of the aspects. It's now going to start pulling in all of the individual items. So far, things are looking pretty good. We actually have the buckets back as well, which is quite nice. I thought it was going to take the entirety of the bucket, but it looks like it's just taking the witch water out of the buckets, which is fine. Is that it? Are we done? It's done! Oh my goodness! We actually flipping did it. Wow. Okay, so we've got ourselves a Greatwood sapling. It drained all of these water jars over here. It doesn't look like it had to tap in to any of these, which is good. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that arbor just so that metallum there can move through, and we can get rid of that as well. We don't really need any of those aspects to still come through to here. I'll clean that all up a little bit later on, but we can take all these buckets back now. We have all of these, and we can use them as we so wish, and we now have ourselves a Greatwood sapling. So now we don't have to mess around using the crucible every time that we want some Greatwood. All we have to do now is go ahead and plant this thing. Now, I don't think that you can use bone meal on a Greatwood sapling. For now, I'm going to put it just in here because apparently all of our pigs died quite some time ago, and it's really the only, like, big area of grass that we have to actually plant that down in. Let me quickly try this. I'm going to grab some bone meal and see if we can get this to grow with bone meal. Yep, as it turns out, you cannot use bone meal on the Greatwood sapling, which is a bit of a shame, but we'll just leave it there, and eventually it will grow into a Greatwood tree. One of the things that I was doing whilst I was waiting for all of the aspects to get broken down in the Arcane Limbic here and get moved over into all of the water jars is I was working on getting all of the reinforced slits, these guys over here, that we're going to need to perform the ritual of the binding to actually get the bound blade, and in doing so, I accidentally created a stack of golden apples, because I went to go create one golden apple, or a few golden apples, so that we could actually regenerate our health and use that health to go ahead and fill the blood altar up, but I forgot that the golden blocks that were in the storage drawers over there were actually connected to the AE system, and so when I shift-clicked the golden apple recipe out, I got a stack of golden apples. Now, the good news is that's going to make doing the blood magic stuff a heck of a lot easier, because it means that we should always have a good amount of regeneration so we can keep putting blood into the blood altar. The bad news is that a stack of golden apples costs over 4,500 golden ingots, and so right now I think we've got just shy of 500 gold ingots left actually in the system. We might have a few more now because the system has been running. Yeah, we've got 1,000 now, so in the time that since I made that mistake, the system here has managed to make a bunch more gold and pipe it back around into the system, so we should be fine. Everything should be good, but I did waste an awful lot of gold doing that. But yeah, basically I made 28 of these reinforced slates, because what we need to do now in order to get the ritual up and running is we need 1 master ritual stone as well as 24 ritual stones. Now, it depends what ritual you're doing, but for the ritual of the binding, I'm fairly certain that we need 24 of these ritual stones, and to make these, you need 4 reinforced slates, 4 obsidian, and then any of the blood orbs. That will get you 4. We need 24 normal ritual stones, but then we also also need an extra 4 to make the Master Ritual Stone, and so we need 28 of these in total, and you'll see here that every 4 of these gets you 4 of those, and so the fact that we have 28 of those reinforced slates should mean that we can quite easily make 28 of these Ritual Stones. So let's just grab some obsidian, let's run back over to our crafting terminal, and we should be able to just go ahead and do something like that. Let me put the obsidian and the slates into the system so we can just go ahead and craft up 28 of these, and then we'll of course take 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, put those back into the system, and then use those to craft up the Master Ritual Stone, which again is going to need the Blood Orb, which for some reason does not like to shift click in from inside the AE system, but that is fine. Do we need a higher tier one? We're going to need the Magician's Blood Orb to make this work, and for that, we're going to need a block of Thaumium, which is 9 Thaumium ingots, in the Blood Altar with 25,000 life points. Now, the good news is that if we look again at the sword that we need, we also need some Thaumium for that. If we go over to, I think it's Artifice, and then come over here, yeah, the Sword of the Zephyr, we need 2 Thaumium ingots to make the Thaumium sword. Everything else should be super easy to get, and so, what we need to do now, whilst we're still waiting for that tree to grow, is we need to go ahead and grab ourselves. Actually, I wonder if fertilizer works on that, because I'm fairly certain that the watering can does, but the watering can is a pain in the backside to make, so we're not going to make that just yet, but in order to get ourselves all of the Thaumium ingots, we're going to need some iron ingots to start with. We're going to need as many iron ingots as we're going to use Thaumium ingots. So 11 of those in total, 9 for the block, and then 2 for the sword. And then each of those iron ingots is going to need, I think, 4 Procantio, if I'm not mistaken. Let's have a look. Thaumium ingot, let's see. So I think 1 iron and 4 Procantio, yeah, makes, oh, we need a mana steel. Okay, so 11 mana steel, and then each one needs 4 Procantio. Do we have enough mana in there? Probably not. Oh, we did. Wow. Okay, so we'll use that. As for the Procantio, we do have quite a few air shards, but nowhere near enough to actually make this happen. And so, what I'm going to do real quick, guys, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make some more sandstone, craft it up into some more sandstone slabs, use those sandstone slabs to get some more air shards, and I'll be back in a second. And now that we've got over a stack of these air shards, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and then 1 mana steel, and we can repeat that process over and over and over again until we get the 11 Thaumium that we need. Nice. So now we've got that, we can craft 9 of that up into a block, and then we should be able to fairly easily make that into the Blood Orb now that we have ourselves 59 spare golden apples over here. Flippin' heck. So, let's go ahead and grab all of those. Let's grab our Sacrificial Orb. Let's head on back over to the Blood Altar. Still waiting on that Greatwood Sapling, although we don't need it for a little while yet. But basically, we're going to go ahead and eat a golden apple. We're going to throw that in there, and I'm going to sit here and do this. And there we go. A little while later, we now have ourselves a Magician's Blood Orb. Nice. So we can take this back over to our crafting terminal, and we should now be able to craft this up into a Master Ritual Stone. Nice. So now we've got that, and we've got our 24 ritual stones. What we need to do now is actually set up the ritual. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can do it by hand. You can put down all of the ritual stones, and you can color them all individually, and then put the master ritual stone in the middle. But a much easier way to do it is to make what's known as a ritual diviner, this guy over here, and then use this to put down all of the runes for you and color them using all of these elemental inscription tools. So to make this, we're going to need 4 mana diamonds, which should be the easiest part of this whole craft. We can just grab 4 of those and hopefully make them all in this mana pool over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm really surprised we haven't run out of mana in there just yet, but I'm not complaining. That's fine by me. Once we've got that, let me quickly clear up a bit of inventory space here. I accidentally made an imbued slate whilst trying to make all of the reinforced slates. Don't need the living rock. Don't need the hardened plates. Don't need any of that stuff just yet. Get rid of those. Don't need the shimmer leaf and cinder pearl. I think we already have the ritual chalk because you make it in sets of 2, and we made one a little while back for the golden chalk when we were doing the witchery stuff. And then finally, the last 4 things that we're going to need are all of the elemental inscription tools, and the way that you make these is by putting a different rune from Britannia. So, for example, for the elemental inscription tool water, you put the rune of water into the blood altar with 1,000 life points. For the fire one, it's obviously the rune of fire. For the earth one, it's the rune of earth, and then for the air one, it is the rune of air. We have almost all of these runes apart from the rune of air. We have water, we have earth, and we have fire. So let's just take 1 of each of those, but we are going to have to make another rune of air because you make the runes of air, I think, 2 at a time compared to 3 at a time for everything else. Oh, no, you make them 3 at a time as well. I guess we just used it more than everything else. And so for that, we're going to need 3 more mana steel ingots, another air shard, string, a feather, and some carpet. I think we have pretty much all of that. Let's go ahead and see. We should have some spare carpet from the last time that we made them. We do. We should have some feathers lying around from the chickens. We do. We should have some string from our spiders. Of course, course we do. And then as far as mana steel goes, we can just go ahead and grab 3 iron ingots. Hopefully, again, be able to just throw them into the mana pool behind us. Let's give that another try. 1, 2, 3, totally worked, and now we can just head on back downstairs, throw all of those onto the runic altar, and it should work just fine. I'm not quite sure if we're going to have enough mana in there, but we can give it a try. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Let's put all of those on, and then finally the air shard. Boom. So we'll see if we have enough mana to make that work. It looks like we might do, but we are going to need a living rock to finish it off. And boom, we can throw the living rock on, we can right-click with the one of the forest, and we get ourselves the runes of air. Nice. So now what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to throw all of these onto the blood altar one at a time until we have all of the elemental inscription tools needed. Hopefully the Greatwood tree will grow sometime during this process, and I'll be back in a second. And once we got all 4 of those, we can head on back to our crafting terminal and craft all of those up with the ritual chalk and the mana diamonds to get ourselves the ritual diviner. Nice. And now we've got this, what we need to do is clear a space to actually set up the altar. Now, I think what I'm going to end up doing is putting it up here just because we don't have a whole lot of space down by our blood altar, and this is going to take up quite a bit of space. We'll probably move it eventually, and we can make a new platform for it. But for now, let's put the master ritual stone in the center like that. Then if we right-click in the air with the ritual diviner, or shift right-click, we can circle through all of the rituals. We want ritual of the binding, which we just passed, so we're going to go through all of them again. And once you get to the one you want, in our case, Ritual of the Binding, you can then begin to right-click on the Master Ritual Stone with the Ritual Diviner, and it will put down all of the blocks that you need in the right order. You'll see we've lost all of our Ritual Stones. They are now all placed down in the correct order, colored correctly, and this is the setup for the Binding Ritual. So now that we've got this, we just need to make ourselves the Sword of the Zephyr and throw it onto there, but we also have to activate the ritual, and to do that, we need this guy over here, the Weak Activation Crystal, and to make that, we have to put a Lava Crystal into a Tier 3 altar with a full 10,000 life points, and to make a lava crystal, we need 3 buckets of lava, 2 obsidian, 1 mana diamond, 1 empty core, which is made by crafting up 2 mana steel ingots, 2 golden ingots, 4 mana glass, and then 1 simple catalyst, as well as these 2 watered glass, which require some mana glass, some greatwood planks, some 2 items that are made in the alchemy catalyst, and then finally, in the center, we need to get ourselves a zombie brain. But I think I'm going to do all of that stuff next episode, because this episode has already gone on way too long. What I'll do, guys, between episodes, I will wait for this greatwood tree to grow. Next episode, we'll come back, we'll chop it down a little bit, we'll make the new sword, we will make the weak activation crystal, we'll turn the Zephyr sword into the bound blade, we'll use that bound blade to get ourselves some weak shards, we'll use those weak shards to make us some bloodstones, we'll upgrade our altar to tier 4, and then we can use that tier 4 altar to start working towards making some of the items required for the angel ring. But with that, guys, I'm going to end this episode of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Skyblock there. As always, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to like, it really does help out a lot, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.